Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be fixing my Audi, which needs some routine maintenance doing as well as some repairs because I found a lot of bodges from the previous owner. So without further ado, let's get on with it. I found loads of issues which I'll show you in a moment, but just while I'm up on top I'm going to remove the inlet pipe to the turbo, and I've taken that off there with my new fandangled pliers things. There's a bolt there which you can't see, but down there there's a bolt, and I got that off, this off. So I did think it was missing, but there's no pipe clip like that one on there, so I just pulled that off of there. So under here I found loads of things wrong. Obviously there's an oil leak. There's one bolt holding the EGR cooler on. There was only one of the two bolts on there for this pipe that connected here to here, which caused it to split and blow. The bolt is missing for the turbo return, so that's not good. So I'm going to check that and make sure the pipe isn't fractured, which is the only reason I'm taking this off. This side doesn't look to be touched. It's hard to see, but it doesn't look to be touched there. For some reason, there's a clip like that, and the original clip is just sat there like that, so God knows. Oh, as well, there's a bracket missing from there for the exhaust. That's handy as well. You don't need any of that. I think that's so far all I've spotted, but it's very frustrating. So I'm just going to take this out now, and we're going to just check everything, put new gaskets on. There wasn't even any gaskets on there. On these bits there wasn't any gaskets. So you can see literally there's a bolt. The fact the bolt's missing has caused a lot of blow by there, and then of course it's split it as well. The lack of gaskets also caused that to not seal there. Well, it looks like it anyway, so I've got to get a new one of those and a few other bits. Right, we can take all these bolts out now. It's hard to see, but all the studs for the manifold and the turbo will come down the bottom, then it comes out the bottom. So while waiting for all the parts, I'm just servicing my car. This filter's done 10,000 miles. It's pretty dirty, but yeah, it's good to get it done. Just swapped the oil filter out, just down there. It was easier to take the air box out to do that. Now I just need to change the fuel filter in there, and the pollen filter, which is under the well in the passenger side. So it's a week later now, and I've just bought the most expensive box of sort of nuts and bolts, basically, just to replace the things that are missing from the back of the engine. There's one bracket which was only £14, but mostly nuts and bolts, and 3 gaskets was £150, which was quite extortionate. So we're going to put it back together how it should be, and then do the cam belt afterwards. So I've been tinkering away for a bit here underneath the car. I got the manifold back on, cleaned the back of the head, rebolted the EGR cooler, bolted the new pipe, used pipe, but bolted the pipe with the gaskets back on either side, genuine gaskets, genuine gasket on the turbo, the manifold. All the turbos plumbed back up again, other than the plug on top. The return for the turbo is fitted there with new seals. I think we're now ready to put the downpipe on. So we've got the new bracket on down there supporting the exhaust. All of this back in. I started it, it runs really well. Doesn't seem like there's any more exhaust blowing, so yeah, let's move on to putting the subframe back on. So back on with my car today. Let me show you what I did yesterday. So it's hard to see, but there's a sort of 3-part subframe. I got that back in there. The whole sort of thing for the exhaust finished now. So now we're going to get on stripping out. I took one of the bolts out there to check which one it was, but we're going to start stripping out now for the cam belt. So before I go underneath, I'm going to remove the engine mount, which involves blocking the engine up, which is why I put the subframe back on yesterday, so there's an extra engine support. So I've got to put a block on the sump, just put a bit of weight on the sump there, and unbolt both sides there, and this little bracket here, and then take that off there, and then it will just leave this bracket attached to the engine. So I undid these two first because that's sat on there. If you undo those and the engine isn't supported properly, it will just drop down and fall off the stand, as I found out before. So if you do that, it's still supported. You can use the jack now to kind of see. See, I just picked that up very slightly. So now we can take that off because I know the weight's supported and it's not going to fall down. So I got this timing kit for £12 on eBay. Hopefully does the job. Right, so now we've got clearance to it. I'm going to pull the tensioner back. There's a pinhole in the side of it there. I'm just going to put, I think it's that pin there, the side one. I'm just going to put that into it so it locks it open. I can unbolt the tensioner, take the belt off them. So that's the little pin in there, see the hole? So now we can take that off of there. So this is the nerve-wracking bit. So I've loosened the fuel pump bolts off, which is what it says on the Haynes video. I've loosened the camshaft bolts off, and the belt is loose now. I've got the that will move, but I've got the pin in there, the locking thing in there, down there. So let's take the belt off. So 3 bolts. Just put the just took the water pump out. So this is the new one. So I've got new idler there, new idler down there. There's one more to put on there, but it's hard to do with it on. The new tensioners there. I put new bolts on the camshaft and new bolts on the fuel pump. It's ready to put the belt back on now. So I've got the belt back on. I'm not going to bother showing that. You should probably watch Haynes' video if you want to see that. But got the belt back on and put the covers back on now. It's all ready to go back together now. I must admit, I thought the cam belt was going to be the hard bit, but what a horrible job. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put that bolt hole there buried, but I don't know if you can hear the bearings gone in that one. So nice new SKF one to put back in. Goes in that little hole up there. And luckily my new ratchet came really in handy, because I can't see the bolt. I haven't seen the bolt once, but you can just see it with an extension buried in the back there. So got the new tensioner on, the belt. I'm going to put the pipe on, which you're not going to see the air inlet pipe go to there. It's buried in front of the engine. And then I'm going to bolt all this side back together. So I think that's the engine finished now. I just need to top up the water and change the fuel filter. But before I do that, I want to start it, make sure it all runs fine. And then tomorrow with some more light, I'll just change the filter, refill the water, the antifreeze, and then all's good. So I've started filling it with antifreeze. It's got oil in it. I've not got the fuel filter and the new one in yet, but it's still on the old one, so let's see if it starts. So when I'm fitting pads, I like to put a little bit of copper slip in the corners here. A little bit on there. I'll clean the disc after, just to try and prevent squealing. It's not a lot, the brush is pretty dry. This one goes in, but on this one I like to put a little bit on the back as well, where it sits on them two prongs. Some calipers you need to wind the piston back in. You can normally see by some groove or notch that the tool should go in, but this one's just flat, so you can push this one in. I do have a tool for doing it, but it's just so much easier with a pair of grips. Just like that, push back in. Please. Okay. So these you need to make sure are completely clean. I just clean them up with the 3M brush. This bristle brush here is really good. If you haven't got one, you should get one. You can get different grades of how abrasive they are. They're almost sort of just next to nothing though, so they're perfect for cleaning gasket surfaces, which is what I use. But these need to be clean, and then I've been taught to always copper grease them. So just put a little bit on, because it can then slide on it. This allows the caliper to move side to side, so it doesn't wear the disc unevenly like's happened on there. Finally, just to finish this off, I'm going to clean the disc with some brake cleaner, clean part of the rag. Just finally, we'll put this clip back on. I guess it's time to put the wheel on. So finally my car's done now, and it runs really well, as you saw. So I'm really pleased about that, and hopefully it gives me another couple of years of motoring, which would be really good. But yeah, if you like the video, like and subscribe and all that, and we'll catch you on the next one.